texted me that the Napoleon thing was just British propaganda. That they were shrimp talking him so hard that we just remember him for being short and pissed off.
Well,
that'll do it.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, but in those days, I wouldn't think that propaganda would be able to spread that quickly. You know what I mean? Like, it would take a long time. Send this message by boat and tell everyone that Napoleon Bonaparte is short.
Right, but it's word of mouth, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how things got around. You had the town crier walking through the streets going, "Hear ye, hear ye, Napoleon is tiny."
Napoleon is... Well, my probably gay uncle who passed away many, many years ago, when we would see him, he would always have these pastries called Napoleons, right? Mm-hmm. They're called millefiches over in France. But they're like these delicious, like, puff pastry custard type things. You ever had Napoleon? Oh, they're so good.
Only the ice cream where
I
it's
was
chocolate,
just gonna
vanilla,
say that!
and strawberry.
We would call it that as kids. We would call it Napoleon ice cream.
It's Neapolitan ice
Right.
cream. Yeah.
Yes, but as kids, we were dumb.
Yes.
You'd call it Napoleon ice cream?
I did.
That's what I thought it was called.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Because I mean,
And you weren't corrected.
I'm talking about, like, this is when I was probably not even 8 years old when you call it that. And then you learn to read. You go, oh, there's some letters here that don't add up.
But nobody told you.
No, it's one of those things where kids, your parents tell you, but you're still...
You go, screw you, Mom.
No,
I heard what the town crier said.
They say Neapolitan. You go, huh? And you just, you just want the chocolate anyway.
Oh, is that true?
That's what I always wanted.
Yeah, I went for the strawberry.
I like the mix. I was one who would take it across the whole top.
You cut it sideways.
So I get some of vanilla chocolate. And
what's the other
strawberry.
stuff? Spumoni? Is that the stuff that's like Spumoni ice cream?
It's
It's
like
like
pink
green
and
and red.
green.
Yeah.
I learned about that when I got my place and got the green towels for my pink bathroom, and your wife's like, "Oh, Spumoni," and I was like,
Now, if you had found out about it when you were little, would you have called it Spermoni?
"There's a good chance."
Maybe.
Mom, can I get another bowl of Spermoni?
So
Ugh.
both of my sisters-in-law, both of my sisters-in-law are teachers, like early childhood education, young, like 3 to 10, like they both work in that age range. And I was talking with them about my boyfriend's daughter, and she'll say things like that are wrong, and I want to correct her. So calling something Napoleon ice cream instead of Neapolitan. She says remember instead of remember. And both of them on separate occasions said that you're not supposed to correct kids on stuff like that because it can like be detrimental to them figuring things out on their own, and then they feel like stupid. That it's like, the way that they phrased it was that it's like almost more detrimental to overcorrect kids and to just let them say things wrong because they'll figure it out eventually. Because if you're too overcorrective on children, it can be harmful to the way that they like learn and stuff.
Obviously, they would know way more about it than I would.
Right.
But I would also think it comes down to how many times a kid mispronounces things. If remember is the only thing that's out there,
Right.
let it go.
Right.
If the kid can barely speak, you go, hey, homie.
Right.
Listen,
Right.
I don't want you being the dumbest kid in the 3rd grade,
My kids, when they were little, would say Pretzel
Instead of pretzel.
And I just was like, "You want a what?" And they're like, "A pretzel." And I'm like, "Oh, pretzels, okay."
A pencil or a pretzel?
Right.
No, you just go, "No, it's Pretzel," and it's just funny. Like I just let it be
Right.
funny because they were little. Let them figure it out.
Exactly.
Like, I was more of that, and then when they, by the time they're like 9 or 10, it's like, hey, Pretzel was cute, but come on.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing now.
Right.
Yeah, they said that most of that stuff will work itself out at like school. That one of the other little kids will correct them and things like that. I can't exactly remember what they were phrasing it, but that it's better for them to learn stuff like that from their peers than to feel like
They're being
reprimanded or talked down to about something that they didn't know was wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of how...
It's Neapolitan, not Napoleon.
You dumb idiot.
Well, that's a whole other thing. I mean, it's the messenger and the message.
Right.
But that's kind of how we do it. Like, my daughter and I have been reading the Geneva Convention, and she keeps calling it the Geneva Invention, which is so cute.
She
And so
thinks sees her eyes.
I just let it go. Just let it go. Not even that, just in that word.
Yeah.
I'm like, honey, it's the Geneva Convention. She goes, oh, and then she'll read it back to me, and it makes sense. Guardians tickets on sale. A couple of notes for you for your Cleveland Guardians as the inaugural season is almost upon us. They've announced the opening day, public sale. Opening day tickets will go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. All opening day purchasers, courtesy of Progressive, will receive a complimentary upper reserved ticket to any April or May home game. So they'll give you an upper reserve ticket with their compliments. Also, WMMS will be airing the opening day game, not the home opener, that too, but the opening day game, which is an away game in Kansas City.
What was the date again?
It is April the 7th. That will be a 4:10 first pitch here on WMMS. Thursday, April the 7th, Guardians opening day. So we'll do a couple hours here, and then we will get out of the way for your Cleveland Guardians. It's very exciting. I think they started to install the script sign at Progressive Field. The script Guardians sign was going up Tuesday. I don't know if it's up. I don't know how long that takes. Approximately 6 days to install. I guess if I had just read one line further, it would have told me.
It was all lit up. Progressive Field was all illuminated last night. So they were probably still working on it, obviously, if it started Tuesday.
This is the one that goes over the Jumbotron? Is that the one they're talking about?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, not the one on the outside of the field.
That one's up.
That one's up.
It says Progressive Field, and then it's a baseball, and then it says Guardians across the front of the baseball.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they had to recenter the Guardians because it was off.
Oh, God.
Oh, was it really?
This has not been a smooth transition. So the home opener is going to be a night game, which is weird.
Oh, I like that,
7:10,
though.
right?
When is it? What day?
Well, no, 4:10 is the opening day.
No,
you mean the home opener?
home
opener.
Yeah, 7:10.
Yeah, 7:10.
What day?
The 15th.
The 15th, Friday, against the one of our greatest rivals, the San Francisco Giants.
7:10.
Mike Clevenger. No, he's with the Padres, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So all that stuff. Home opener tickets going on sale, and blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow, of course, is the Bill Squire St. Patty's Day bar crawl.
Getting ready. I'm excited.
Starts at 11 a.m. If you go to WMMS.com and hit the calendar tab, you'll get all the details there. I can't help but mention, for the benefit of anybody who's going out tomorrow for St. Patty's Day, and you take these with a grain of salt, obviously. They always do these studies on what alcohol does to your brain. And so for a long, long time, they're like, yeah, you have a glass of wine. It's good for you. There's neutrophenols or whatever in there. And there's, all this kind of stuff.
Neutrogena.
And then that in there, too. Yep, that's what
I'll get you messed up.
That's what I have. But they did they looked at the... What?
Hey, he's back!
Wait, no, I can't hear you guys, though.
We hear you very lightly.
Very low.
Oh, God, and there's this
There he is.
static. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, the static's there, but there you are.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
No, that's not
Okay,
here.
yeah,
That's not here.
I've been beating the crap out of this thing. I'm like,
Well, yeah, that's gonna have diminishing returns on that. By the way, if that's how we're going to solve that problem,
Well,
which is not a solution.
I just won't speak in here. I'll do the sports break from in there because I've literally beat the crap out of this for the last 15 minutes, and this is all I got.
Okay, well, yeah, you'll have to do the Poundcake sports break in here later on. One alcoholic drink a day. They looked at the data from 36,000 adults and said that one alcoholic drink a day is linked to reduced brain size. Now, that's
Good thing I have two.
Hey, double it!
brains or drinks.
Both.
In addition to being a great piece of clickbait, because everything in there is extraordinarily vague. Reduced brain size. Who the hell even knows what that means?
Means your brain shrinks.
Huh?
Shrunken brain.
Right, but from what to what? If it shrinks...
Smaller, does it matter?
If it shrinks by 1/100th of a millimeter, I'm not going to lie awake at night worrying about it.
I feel like your brain doesn't have a lot of wiggle room. There's a lot going on up there.
Maybe it's just
There's a lot going on.
dehydrated.
No.
Yeah.
So then you get
I don't think your brain gets dehydrated.
I think it does.
But you understand what I'm saying. They say reduced brain size, right? If something goes from 1 million to 999,000...
It's still smaller.
It's still smaller, right? I'm just saying there are degrees of, but anyway, just something to consider tomorrow when you're out on the Bill Squire bar crawl.
Come get a little brain with me.
That's why
Let's get tiny brained.
Let's shrink our cerebellums together.
everybody's so aggravated when I talk about my sobriety because they're like, oh.
Who's aggravated?
Internet people, listeners.
Internet people.
Oh, Mayor, your sobriety makes you better than me? Yeah, my brain's bigger.
My huge brain.
My giant sober brain is
Here's-
larger than your drunk tiny brain.
Here's the problem, though.
What?
Over your years of excessive drinking, your brain shrank so much that those people, they might not be right, but your brain ain't bigger than theirs.
It is
Smaller.
You don't know.
I don't think a brain is like a liver. I don't think it
It grows
regenerates.
back.
Does it?
Yeah. It's like a lizard's tail.
Does Mary seem smarter to you this week? Yes, stop drinking.
It's crazy.
The brain squeezed out of her ears. She's got fluid dripping out of her ears.
That's why I cry so much.
Yeah.
Well, it's just brain fluid.
It's brain fluid
coming
leaking
out of your
my
eyes.
Yeah, that's all
From that
it is.
huge brain. Yeah. Even a few beers or glasses of wine a week carry risks to the brain. Now, I'm pretty confident that these kinds of studies do zero as far as public consciousness goes.
Oh, no, they don't care.
If you like to drink, you're going to have a couple of drinks, right?
No one's reading this and being like, all right,
I guess that's it for me.
I guess I'll cut back.
Yeah. But I'm always curious how they can have such wild swings in these kinds of things, right? Like where they go, glass of wine a day? Great. 2, even 1 drink a day shrinks your brain. How are these massive swings when they're looking at, data sets of people? When you're looking at...
what I always say, especially when I've had a few, do your own research.
Yeah,
That's right.
you figure it out.
Yeah.
Look at your own brain size.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My hat fits the same
Yeah.
whether I'm drinking or not.
But that's your skull size, right?
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
I would be worried about that too. Do all of my hats fit?
Yeah.
Does it sound like there's something rattling around in there? No? Good.
And what's wrong with having a little extra room in your skull?
Yeah. Put some keys in there,
I feel like
something.
I don't
Jam
want my
some marbles
brain-
in your ears.
I don't want my brain pushed up against the side of my skull like Mary's is.
That's why I'm just under so much pressure.
Big old huge brain. In 50-year-olds, as average drinking among individuals, if you go from 1 unit a day to 2 units a day, there are associated changes in the brain. Again, all this stuff is so boring that nobody pays attention to it except dummies like me.
Wait a minute. This has to do with your age too? Like, it's over time? Okay, wait a minute.
Over time.
1 drink a day for how many years? Is this like if you drink every day for 50 years, it'll have an effect? Or is it like 1 drink a day for a month will have an effect?
I think they looked at, that's what I'm saying. A lot of this is vague. They said that because the sample size was so big, they were looking at 36,000 people, that they could find subtle patterns. If you do a study of 100 people, that can't tell you much. You do 36,000 people, and then they calculate their size of their brains or whatever.
Yeah, how are they
this is what
measuring
they
brain
came up
size,
with.
by the way?
CAT scans or CT scans.
Yeah, gray matter and different
every
regions
time?
of your brain.
Yeah, like every time you're drinking, they're doing one?
No, this would have to, I would assume this would have to be something that they were like, hey, well, that's the other thing. We don't know
Or
over
they're
how
just
much
taking
time.
it from a high angle, too,
If they
It's
say no.
Like when you take
So
your
it's
MySpace
slimming?
picture, yeah.
Oh, this guy's brain's wearing black. This is a slimming color. So,
It's a guy for me.
but like they would have to say, okay, at the beginning of 2020, we're going to take this scan of your brain, and then over the course of a year, we want you to have 1 alcoholic beverage every day, and then at the end of the year, they take another picture and compare them.
Sure.
If anybody's
MRIs,
brain
they're
didn't
looking
get
at-
smaller in 2020,
You get what I'm saying, though. That's the only way that they'd be able to do this, right?
Same size, less
Yeah.
activity
Right.
for all of us. I would just like to see the blind box trying to get people to take part in this study. They put on Craigslist or whatever, medical journals. Do you like drinking? Are you not concerned about the size of your brain?
Not even that. Get
Call
paid.
us.
Get paid to drink every day.
Yeah. Do you want to get paid to drink every day? Your brain might shrink. Not one person would stop at that. My brain might shrink. I don't even know what that means. Sign me up.
I'll stick to just getting paid on a Thursday in March.
Who's powering your bar crawl?
That's a great question. And the answer is Bud Light.
It is a great question. You're welcome. By the way, for anybody complaining that Congress, the United States Congress, the legislative body, for anybody complaining that they are hopelessly partisan, undeniably gridlocked, and incapable of doing anything, well, you're going to want to rethink your thoughts. They are still tackling the most important issues of our time, namely daylight saving time. The U.S. Senate unanimously passed a bill. It'll go to the House. It'll go to President Biden's desk to make daylight saving time permanent starting next year. Marco Rubio is behind this one, by the way. I'm sure the bill has some fun acronym. But again, so many things to contend with, and they landed on daylight saving time. Let's figure this confounding thing out.
Building on common beliefs. Everybody wants it. Let's get it done.
They tried this in the 70s, and people hated it.
Really?
It lasted like 2 months, yes. Because they thought, Now, remember, the 70s were back when like people were at least pretending to care about kids. So they go, hey, this will be great because we don't, I mean, it was like the Nixon administration or something. They go, let's just make it permanent. That way, you know, hard-working people who are coming home, they'll have more daylight and blah, blah, blah.
This spring forward will be permanent? There would be no more fallback?
Well, I mean, obviously, there are longer and shorter days just based on...
That I understand.
Yeah.
But time-wise...
Nothing's going to change.
That's right. Like, it'd stay how it is now, I think, the whole time.
Yes, that's what I was
right.
asking. Yeah.
And they were like... they said that they wanted to eliminate the hazards of evening commutes. They said stress, anxiety, and many drivers have had a couple of drinks. This is the early 70s, by the way. What they found was, though, kids were getting killed because they were walking to school in the dark.
Yeah.
And so they were like, the public opinion turned very, very rapidly against this, and they changed it very, very quickly. So they tried this a long time ago. But again, like I said, they care way less about kids now. So maybe if that's a thing now, they'll go, screw it.
Are kids still walking to school?
A lot of kids still walk to school.
I didn't know if that was a dumb question or not.
It depends on the school.
Well, and
Why they end up canceling school when there's really, really cold days because they're worried about kids who walk or or wait for the bus or whatever.
Lakewood's there are kids that get
walkable,
driven to school, but my kids always walk to school when they live there.
I guess I was more
when they were in
coming.
school.
I was more coming at it from like the helicopter parent era, where are like parents still letting their kids walk to school, where people were way more lenient 20 years ago. I'm like, yeah, you'll be fine, go ahead. I don't know if that was still an overall attitude.
I think it depends on where you live.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what your resources are.
How far away the school is. And, I mean, especially in the age of the kids, too.
Yeah.
So elementary school, I think you're a little more careful. But when my kids were in elementary school, we lived right around the corner from school. And when my youngest was in kindergarten, I'd walk her I'd back from school. Mm-hmm. But in the morning...
She'd walk with her.
They'd all go together,
Yeah, my elementary school was about 2 blocks away. I'd say less than a 10-minute walk, not even. And from as far as I remember, I walked to school. But I didn't know if that's just because it was the 90s. If people are still letting their kids, their 8-year-old, do that now.
But not when you were like in kindergarten.
When I was in elementary school. So, I mean, up until age 10. But we also got into it where my parents would let me watch my younger sister. I'd be 10 and watching the 6-year-old and while they went out and we ran to the store or whatever. I'm like, don't set anything on fire. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I won't set anything on fire. Okay.
I ask unanimous consent that the Rubio substitute amendment at the desk be considered and agreed to.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Madam President. And as the day goes on, I look forward to others will be coming to the floor here in a moment. You'll see it's an eclectic collection of members of the United States Senate in favor of what we've just done here in the Senate, and that's to pass a bill to make a daylight savings time permanent.
Nobody expected this to pass because, again, they did it in the 70s. People hated it. But apparently they're patting themselves on the back. They're breaking their arms patting themselves on the back for bipartisan consent on this. If it passes the House, and if Biden signs it into law, we would spring forward next March, and that would be the last time. We'd spring forward for good next March.
So then instead
it would make daylight saving time permanent.
Then the
because like
would be
Indiana,
like 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, because there are already states that don't recognize it, right? Indiana doesn't, Hawaii doesn't. I don't think Alaska does.
Alaska's all messed up, though. Alaska has that one...
Yeah, so what's daylight saving time going to do?
Right, they have that 1 month where it's just daylight for 24 hours. I think it's in like June or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's when, what's his name, was fighting the vampires.
Yeah.
Josh...
that was when it was dark.
Duclaw.
Huh?
What?
Josh Duclaw. Yes. Remember Josh Duclaw? No, what was it? It was a comic book they turned into a movie. Josh Hartnett. Yeah, there you go. Josh Hartnett
30
fought
Days a
the
Night.
zombie. 30 Days a Night.
Yeah, but that's
Underrated
what it is.
movie.
Summertime, I think. There.
Well, that
July
30 Days of Night happens in the winter.
and 30 Days
then
of Sunlight.
Is I think like June
I think
or
it's
July.
like June or July, because when I was there for comedy, they were talking about how it is, what it does to your body is insane, because you'll go out drinking and it'll be 2 a.m. and you'll come outside hammered and it's daylight outside,
Yeah.
and you're like,
I
what
feel like
is
the
happening?
alcohol
Like,
might have had more to do with it than the
no, but just think
sunlight.
about that. Try to sleep or try to get on any kind of a circadian rhythm when it's just bright as hell all day.
That's why you gotta get some blackout curtains.
And then adding alcohol to that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, listen, I've got to take a break here. If you want to text for something, 35192, AlanCoxShow.com for all the other stuff, and we'll be back.
It's the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free